everyone, Adele here from Kingdom Initiatives and the All Shall Prosper movement. So today we're going to be covering off on quite a difficult subject that most of us battle with in some way or form, and that is, how do we hold people accountable in a way that honors them, honors God, honors our company, honors our clients? How do we do this in a way that will bring about the best result? So it's really important to remember that before you get to the point of having this courageous conversation with someone, we have to have plowed into their lives what is necessary for them to thrive. And normally our courageous conversations will be around behavior or around performance. And I'm going to take the stance on performance because that's usually the conversation that we'd need to have. So when we are creating an environment in our workplace where people feel like they can share with you the things that are holding them back, or are perhaps things that are not allowing them to do their work properly, it really helps us to circumvent this conversation, because if they feel like they can come to you and tell you, my tools are broken, or my computer's not working so well, in those circumstances, they can come and they can share with you any hindrances that are affecting their performance before it becomes a courageous performance conversation. So the first thing would be to make sure that we do have these moments where people can come and share with you. And if you don't know how to do that, it is really important maybe to set up a time in your weekly meeting, monthly meeting. I'm hoping you have a weekly meeting, but in that meeting to say to people, all right, guys, what's holding us back? What are the things that are working? What are the things that aren't? And what are the things that we can fix? And usually in that conversation, somebody will pipe up and say, you know what, I'm sorry, but my computer's actually not been working so well, and I feel like I'm not getting through things like I should be. So would we be able to look at my computer, for example? And, it's a great opportunity for us not just to deal with the macro things that we are dealing with in our company, but also the micro individual things that could be affecting people. And if we can deal with those things up front, we can circumvent many a courageous conversation, because very often there are things that we can fix before it gets to the point of a performance issue. But let's have a look at how we engage in a courageous conversation. Now, the one thing I want to really stress here is, when it comes to people, we need to develop the greatness that God has put into them. God has put something so profound, so wonderful in them, and it's our job to find that and to bring it out of them. As leaders, as business owners, it's really important that we go into this moment with the perception or with the mindset of, we are going to fix something because there's greatness in you. And if we can fix that and we can deal with it, we can make sure that you succeed. Now, that's your mindset going into it. If they continue to not perform, if they continue to underperform, that's on them. That's on them. But I'm going to show you the step-by-step way to have this courageous, beautiful conversation in an honoring way, but a way that draws a definite boundary, a definite line of performance, where you can say, that is the line, you need to live up to that point. And then when they choose to do that, we're going to celebrate it. And when they choose not to, we have a plan of action. So here we go. This is basically how I engage in courageous conversations when I need to have them. The first thing that I do is, when they're sitting in front of me, I tell them, you have been here for X amount of time. When we sat down and we employed you, we saw the greatness or the potential that is in you, and we're wanting to see that in line with what we've employed you to do. But at the moment, you are not showing us that greatness. You are not showing us that potential. And let me explain what I mean. So then you take a piece of paper and you draw a block, quite a big block, on that piece of paper. And you say to them, this block and these lines represent the expectations of the job description and what you agreed to when you started working here. That job description included what you would be doing, your deadlines, your performance basically was outlined, and you agreed to those things. Then you ask them the question, do you agree with me that the expectation and what was required was clearly explained and that you agreed to it. At this point in time, they'll probably say yes. Then what you do is you draw a smaller square on the inside of that big square, and you color it in, or you put lines in it just to differentiate between the two squares. You say to them, well, at the moment, this inner square, the small one, is what you're currently delivering. It is short of the expectation. And here's some examples of why I'm saying this. At this point in time, you draw arrows from the small box to the big line of the big box on the outside. And you say to them, there's a gap between your current deliverables and what was clearly agreed on when we spoke about expectations. And then you have to do something very, very intentionally. You have to give clear examples with evidence of where they're not living up to the expectation. So for example, are there deadlines that they're constantly missing? For example, a report is due on a Tuesday every week, but lately it's been coming out on a Wednesday. Maybe the quality of the product that they're manufacturing or they're producing, or the service that they are delivering, is short of what the quality standard should be. So let's talk about it like in a manufacturing environment. They're producing tables, and the quality of the table is not up to standard, and it's not the standard that the company requires and expects. So in your discussion, you would say to them, here are practical examples of where you're constantly missing deadlines, or here are practical examples of where you're delivering a product or service that is not up to standard. For example, the table that's not up to standard. You give them clear definitions, clear examples, clear clarity on where you are seeing that the delivery of their deliverables is falling short of the expectation. Then what you do is you say to them, having a look at what I've just shown you, do you agree that what you're delivering at the moment is short of the expectation and what we agreed up front? Now, at this point in time, once again, you're getting their buy-in, and they should say yes because you've produced evidence, right? So now the question is, what are we going to do about it? So your first question to them is there anything that I can do to help you to deliver? Is there anything that is hindering you from delivering according to what we've agreed? So if it is the deadlines, maybe they do have a faulty computer and they're restarting their computer 20 times in a day, which is holding back their workload, so they're not meeting their deadlines. Maybe that is the case. And then you could say to them, okay, I will have a look at a new computer for you. Maybe in the manufacturing space, maybe the tools are old, or the tools are blunt, or the tools are not right. And they can say to you, well, my tools aren't right, and I'm really battling with the tools that I've got. So in that case, you'd say to them, all right, do you agree that if I help you with this, you will be able to meet the expectations as agreed? So now they've told you these are the reasons why they're not delivering. If you can help them sort out those reasons and you take those reasons away, they should be able to deliver, not right? So these are the questions you ask them. You say, well, do we agree that if in the case of the computer, I supply you a new computer, that you don't have to restart 20 times a day? In that case, you will be able to deliver your report consistently on the Tuesday and not the Wednesday. And they say yes. Or in the case of the table manufacturer, then you say, well, if I get you a new set of tools and everything's spick and span and nice and sharp, will you be able to deliver quality products to me, quality output from your work? And they say yes. Say, okay, I'm going to do that for you. I'm going to sort this out, but we're in agreement that when I've sorted this out, you are going to be able to deliver on time, or you'll be able to deliver quality products. Basically meet the expectations of the agreements that we had on what you were going to deliver. So you ask them that, and they will say yes. Now, here's the key part that most people don't do. We're about calling out the greatness in people, and we have to hold them accountable to greatness. So we have to have some sort of thing in place that says, okay, I'm going to hold you accountable to greatness because I believe greatness is in you. You can deliver your report on the Tuesday. You can build me a beautiful table. I know you can. So you reaffirm that. You say to them, I know you can do this. So I'm going to fix these things for you that are holding you back. But I think what we need to do is agree on what will happen if you don't. Now, this is really important because most people leave this. They don't do this. Your key here is to say to them, okay, if after I've done what I can to help you, and you've said that's all that's holding you back from delivering or being on time and meeting my expectations, if I fix those, and when I've done that, what happens if you don't? If you don't meet the expectations? Now you keep quiet. You let them answer. If they don't answer, you can say, okay, well, let's make this a little bit easier. If I was you and you were me, what would you do if I wasn't delivering according to our agreement? If I wasn't doing what I was employed to do and I was missing my deadlines or not manufacturing properly, for example, what would you do if you were in my position and I was in your position and I wasn't meeting expectations after all the hindrances have been taken away? Now you keep quiet, you let them answer. When they say, the next thing that they say to you is going to be something along the lines of, well, I guess I would have to give you a warning. That's when you take out your pen again and you write on that same piece of paper that you drew the blocks, and you say, that's a good idea. And you write down 1 and then warning. And you say, I know this won't happen, but if it doesn't come right or get better and you still don't deliver after the first warning, what should I do? If you were me, what would you do? And they would probably say something along the lines of, well, then I would have to give you a warning, another warning, your second one. And you write that down. And so you write down the agreed process that you're going to go to, obviously the third warning being the final warning, and you write it down. Then what you do is after that meeting, you say, well, after you've discussed that, you say to them, you know what, I am very sure that we're not going to need this last phase, but at least we've got it in place so that you and I know what the steps are. But I actually believe that you're not going to need that. So let's just focus on getting your things sorted out. Let's make sure you can deliver well on your deliverables. Let's do this properly, and I believe in you. I believe you can do this because I want you to do it. Okay, we know what's going to happen if you don't, but I'm not going to lean into that. I'm going to lean into you doing what you have said that you're going to do. Right, now what you do is shake on it, walk out of the room. Now you go and you sort out the things that you've promised to do. You make sure as a leader that you've done what you've said you're going to do. And that is really, really important, is that you don't make blind promises. But let's say they don't now do what they meant to do, despite the fact that you have helped them with those hindrances that they said was the reason for not delivering. This is when you pull out that piece of paper, sit them down and you say, remember we had a chat. I have now done everything that I needed to do. You are still consistently not meeting expectation. And that's really, really heart sore, and it's not nice because I know that you can do better. But you and I had an agreement around what would happen if you don't deliver. And this is now what I'm going to move forward with because we agreed that this is what we would do. So this meeting is to give you your first warning because you told me that if you were in my position and I had done what you've now done, you would have to give me a first warning. And we agreed that that is where we would move to and what we would do. And so you issue the first warning. Now, most people, hopefully, will adjust after that because they'll realize, okay, my boss, my supervisor, my leader, they are not happy with this. There is going to be consequences to what I do. And often that's enough of a wake-up call for people to say, you know what, actually I need to shape up. I really do. What they do with this process now is not on you. If they choose to still not deliver after that first warning, they are telling you that they don't want to fit that outer box expectation. That box that you drew on that piece of paper, they're telling you, I don't want to conform to that. I want to stay delivering what I believe is right, which is my smaller box, according to you. But that's not what the job requires. And so if that needs to go to a second warning and then a final warning and dismissal, that is what they have chosen. You have not chosen that route. they have. Remember where this started was we all agreed on the expectation. The fact that they're not delivering to that expectation is not your fault. You've now removed all the hindrances that could have been linked to anything you had control over. Once you remove those hindrances, it's up to them then to now step up and say, okay, the hindrances to my performance have been removed, and therefore I can perform at optimal performance. But if they choose to still not perform at the level that you need them to perform, which was the level you agreed to when you first started this role and engaged with them, then they're telling you that they don't want to live into the fullness of the size of the expectation box that you drew on that first piece of paper. That's when they're making choices with regard to their trajectory. But let's say that they do make a shift. They learn from the experience and they move forward, and now they are delivering. We're going to cover languages of appreciation shortly in one of our podcasts. But I really want to encourage you at this point in time, don't be that leader that constantly only looks at when they're underperforming. When they are performing, go to them, tell them you see it, you recognize it, and it's wonderful. You are so glad that they have now stepped into the space now, the laptop's been replaced, or they've got new tools to produce the tables that you need them to produce. Go and speak to them and just reaffirm them, because this could be a star player that either needs your help with regard to hindrances that might be stopping them from performing, or it could be a star player that doesn't know that they're a star player. But when you called out the greatness in them and you said to them, I believe in you, I know you can do this. When that happens and they go, you know what, this person sees something that I don't even see in me. You see, we see people through God lenses, and we should see them through the lens that God sees them. And that is the ability to live up to their true potential, what He placed in them. And when they do that, when they live up to that potential, it's up to us to go and recognize it and affirm it and praise on them. So tell them, well done, I'm so proud of you. You've done so well. And I see what you've done. I see you delivering your reports on every Tuesday. I see the tables that are coming off your line. They're brilliant. Well done. Don't miss that opportunity to affirm or show appreciation or acknowledgement of when they are doing things the way that they should be. It is our responsibility as leaders to call out the greatness in people, to call out the goodness in their standards, to not let them settle for being second best by their own accord, but to really show them what they're capable of doing and helping them to get there. People who embrace this are part of your team. They're a star player, and we need to hold on to them. We need to affirm them. We need to build them up, because you see something in them that they don't see, but because you see them through God's eyes. But that means holding them accountable. And people who embrace that accountability process and thank you for the feedback and work towards now delivering what is expected of them and beyond need your affirmation, they need your recognition, and we get to call that out in them, develop that in them, and then celebrate that greatness when it's on display. So yes, don't be afraid of the courageous conversation, but it is important that we go into it with the right heart. And as a godly leader, as a kingdom marketplace minister, what is our ultimate goal? Our ultimate goal is to steward the people that we have in our hands, the people that God has entrusted into our hands. And what do we do with that? We look after them, we develop them, but we're not just soft on them. We hold them accountable, because accountability breeds discipline. And when I am disciplined and I'm doing above and beyond what I even thought I could do, it shows me who God's created me to be and the possibilities that He's put in me to be able to do more than what my mind thought I could do. Why? Because my leader saw it, acknowledged it, and called it out in me. So don't be afraid of the accountability moments. Be courageous, but be caring. Call out the greatness. Don't let people get away with not showing the greatness. If they do, celebrate it. If they don't, maybe they're showing you that this isn't maybe the place that they want to excel in this role. And maybe they'd be better off in a place where they can be comfortable and the expectation is less. But now you know how can handle this conversation. You know how to do it. And the main thing is you go into it courageously, confidently, and you know that this conversation is going to call out God's greatest gift in you. And you are working with that to call that out. If they embrace it, awesome. If they don't, that's also fine. Everyone must choose their own path. But you've chosen to go into this meeting, into this conversation, into this relationship with the right heart, and that is to call out the greatness that lies in every one of them. All the best with your continued leadership journey. It is a calling to be a leader. It's a calling, and especially when you see people through the lens that God sees them. So all the best with courageous conversations. Practice it a bit, get to be okay with it. And when you see the value in it, you'll have these conversations a lot more frequently because you're not afraid of them anymore and you're happy to have them because you know you're calling out the greatness that God has put into people.